I want to say thank you guys for watching another rendition of Just Talk. We're doing something different this time around. It's going to be a breakdown of the MCU, starting all the way from Iron Man, leading all the way up until December, going into Avengers Doomsday. My name is Jamal, the host, as most people already know. I got my man Ramon here.
Yes, sir.
We've been talking about this forever. Maybe not like a podcast style. We wasn't talking about that before, but we've known each other since high school.
Yep.
And when we used to be in the lunchroom in high school, we would talk about the idea of...
We imagined the what if, the what could be, what didn't be, and what's to come, and there's just none but excitement. That's, we're at a point where we've hit the climax, and now what comes after? Mm-hmm. Excited to see what's in store for the future of the universe.
Yeah. Starting with the Infinity Saga, it should be like the highest of the highs with the MCU.
Yeah.
We're gonna go through some of the lows, of course, as well, which is gonna be unfortunate, but that's part of
everyone's favorite child, the Phase 1.
Phase 1 and Phase 2.
The favorite kid, the star pupil. There's many things we love about Phase 1, but looking back, there's many things you could pull away and take away that, ultimately, I don't know if it was the best decision at the moment when it was made, but it led us to where we are now. And, some of these things could have been tweaked back then, but maybe,
So let's jump into Iron Man 1. That's the first movie. That's how it all started off. 2008, which was an amazing time for movies.
Yeah.
A bunch of other stuff came out outside of Iron Man. Yeah. We got, as far as the comedy side, Step Brothers came out in 2008.
Step Brothers too.
one of the best comedy movies of all time.
Damn.
You got Incredible Hulk, which will be our next episode of that we will go over and watch as well.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight, which, of course, to comic book fans, that's probably
arguably one of the greatest comic book movies ever made.
Yeah, and then we also now have Iron Man, which a lot of people, for the most part, when we want to go back, I mean, we were younger when Iron Man came out.
Yeah.
So we weren't necessarily in those talks. I mean, I wasn't. I know you said that you were, but I wasn't really in those talks of Iron Man because Iron Man now is such a beloved character, and that's all thanks to Robert Downey Jr., but he wasn't.
At that age, we weren't really, per se, fans of Iron Man. We were more like, oh yeah, he's just the smart suit guy from the Avengers. We knew the Avengers, but, growing up at that time, Spider-Man was the guy. X-Men were the team, like, Fantastic Four, these were the guys. Like, we were the legends. Like, Blade, started it off. But
like, it sounds funny, but like Daredevil and Punisher were more popular and known characters.
Yeah, exactly.
than Iron Man. Like
street level dudes that,
Punisher had multiple movies at that point. Daredevil, had an unsuccessful movie, but he had a movie before someone like Iron Man.
He had a movie that spurred 2 spin-offs, Elektra and the whole Bullseye thing. They had like a mini series going on back then.
So going into Iron Man.
Yeah.
Disney creating that whole project. They brought in Robert Downey Jr., which most people know. I believe at this point should know that Robert Downey Jr. wasn't their first choice.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
There were multiple other actors that they had in mind, but one of the main actors that stand out was Tom Cruise before Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
But Jon Favreau, who also is the director of Elf, decided that no, the character of Iron Man fits the life of Robert Downey Jr.
When there's elements in the film when you're watching it that you can almost mirror it to RDJ's life. Like the choices he made is the same choice Tony Stark would make. And the choices he wouldn't make, it also mirrors and reflects the same way. So like the consequences, ultimately he does pay for them. So that's what they call like movie magic, like the perfect casting type of thing. Like there's like we saw the deleted scene with Stan Lee. He was saying that he was so proud that he'd never see an actor like RDJ play Iron Man, because Iron Man, the eccentric Tony Stark, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist, scientist, doctor, all the stuff, right? So what better person at the time than RDJ,
And I feel like we're skipping ahead to the ending when I'm going to say this, but the ending part when he does his speech.
I'm just not the hero type. Laundry list of character defects, all the mistakes I made.
But he's actually, this is kind of like a confession almost to the audience, or even to himself. Like he says, like, not the hero type, clearly, he just wants peace and he knows what he has to do to do it. And then I am Iron Man.
I am Iron Man.
Funny that you did the peace sign. I wrote that down as one of the things on here because with the peace sign, what's such a iconic thing with him. If you see all the movies going forward, every time you see him, he did it a lot in this first movie. But I think that for me, I thought it was cool because if somebody randomly takes a picture of me, I now do that. And I think that I got that subconsciously. I think I got the
off of him, yeah.
Because like that's something that I'll do now. Or somebody's like, oh, post for a picture.
Post for a picture. Awkwardly, don't know what to do. Just peace, man. Peace.
And that's how the movie starts off, which is so funny.
Yeah.
When you think about the concept of peace, right? Because when the movie starts, he's looked at keeping the peace, but of course he's known outside of the U.S. He's known as this murderer, the merchant of death. The
merchant of death.
That's what they looked at him as. So to make a joke about peace in the beginning of the movie, but he's also known as the merchant of death. To knowing like, no, I now want to change my whole life up to becoming an actual peace,
right?
Like a representation of what peace should be,
which
is like a full circle moment, which is a lot of what the movie is, to be honest. When you think about who he is as a character at the beginning, the very well done character development, him in the beginning, like this arrogant asshole, which he still is. It doesn't. That part doesn't change. He's still that arrogant guy because he knows that he's the smartest man in the room, but he's a lot more like sensitive. He understands a lot more.
He comes to realize that he's a little more vulnerable than he actually wants to be. And maybe when he was younger, he was on some like I don't really have to answer to anyone. I'm the smartest guy in the room. I'll figure it out myself. But every time he's in a situation and he like life threatens his peace or anything, it's the person he thinks of the most is Pepper Potts, someone who brings him down to earth, someone who makes him feel like he's human again.
And we definitely wrote down Pepper as a topic point of wanting to talk about because of how good of a role Gwyneth Paltrow in the chemistry that her and Robert Downey Jr. had. It was like bringing Gwyneth Paltrow on. We were saying like Gwyneth Paltrow is a beautiful woman. But like she looks more of like the normal average woman compared to the fact that Tony Stark is able to get supermodels type, a billionaire, so he can talk to any woman that he really chooses to.
The Playboy type or whatever.
But he admits to her like, no matter what, like I still need you. Something that I called that I don't know if you I mentioned, I don't know if you caught it, was when he was in the cave and they were like drowning him. Her voice is the voice that he heard.
I think that was probably like a little bit of foreshadowing. I missed that part, but he definitely. I think they threw that in there for a little foreshadowing, just so that when his mind is kind of like in that moment when he's in that cave, his whole world is upside down, right? There's no more females around him. There's no more cars. There's no money. There's nothing. Your life is at stake. So like literally, shit hits the fan. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? And it happened to be Pepper. So, that just goes to show the character development that it's sort of like a seed. Because that happens early in the film. That's like 30 minutes in. They just drop it in and then little by little you start to see the signs. He comes back. He's like, oh, that's the dress I bought you. She's like, yeah, you got good taste. They start going back and forth, the banter between them.
Her ultimately saving his life by keeping the old arc reactor around.
Proof that Tony Stark has a heart.
That's stuff that people weren't even like really thinking about. And to be honest, not something that I really even noticed watching the movie so many years ago. I mean, of course, I've seen this movie a bunch, but
a million times.
I never really sat down and like tried to pick the movie apart. So trying to pick the movie apart this time, that was something that I noticed. Like the voice, her keeping the arc reactor, which ultimately was one of the things that kept him alive. Because there was something else in the movie earlier that kept him alive with Yinsen in the cave, who also was able to do that and was another person that kind of humbled him because Yinsen ultimately sacrificed himself.
It was a harsh reality of what his whole career, his lifestyle. He's the weapon, the merchant of death. He didn't see what's going on the other side of it. He's just like, oh yeah, I'll make this, sell it, make mad bread, and that's the end of the story. But what's going on with the people buying this? What are they actually using it for? Who's actually selling it? Who's actually buying it?
And where is it going?
Exactly.
Where is it going?
He was literally thrown into the heart of it, and then had this innocent soul. Innocent being Yinsen. He doesn't know him from the hole in the wall. He connects with him on this level. He saves his life multiple times. Because it's him, it's Yinsen that put the arc there.
The original thing that kept the shrapnel from
right, that magnetic electro cylinder that
but
they
then
had.
Also doing that, which he ultimately said to him before he left the cave, like, hey, like, don't waste this opportunity. Don't waste it, which is crazy. But then he comes back to, we jumping around a little bit, but he comes back to the States, and the first thing he asked for was a cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger.
So my question to you would be, what would be the first, if I was that, what would be the first food that you would want?
Oh man, that's tough. That's tough.
What's your favorite food?
How long was he in there? Was it
3
a month?
months.
3 months?
Yeah, 3 months. 3 months.
3 months in the cave. Damn. Honestly, my stomach might be cooked off anything that I touch. So like, it's gotta be something safe. Like, I don't know, something homey, like rice and beans. Chicken, rice and beans. Okay. Maybe a cheeseburger. Honestly, slice of pizza can't go wrong. Obviously.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with a
slice of pizza. If you're in New York, obviously, slice of pizza.
I think I'm going tacos.
Tacos,
yeah. Some shrimp tacos.
Shrimp tacos.
But it gotta be from the right spot so they can slap.
The spot in Getty Square, right? Yeah, that's the spot.
You gotta make sure you get some good shrimp tacos. Terrence Howard. Do we want to get into Terrence Howard?
Terrence Howard, the biggest bag fumbler. Oh man, it's funny because he did really, really great in the movie too. It's like
Terrence Howard played James Rhodes, Colonel James Rhodes, or Rhodey.
Rhodey, yeah.
Who ultimately
becomes War Machine.
He becomes War Machine. For the people that don't know the backstory of how he fumbled the bag, which Ramon was saying, so he was. Most movies have one like main known actor, and not that there weren't multiple known actors in the movie, because of course there were, but Terrence Howard was one of those, and he was also one of the people that fought for RDJ to even have the role as Iron Man. So with the success of the movie, he wanted more money, and he ultimately wanted to get paid more than RDJ, and the studio was like,
not having it. Not having it. Sorry, sir. The film is called Iron Man, not War Machine, bro. So, in my opinion, he got a little too cocky. That position, he already known as a, well-established Terrence Howard. It's well-established at that point. If you see an opportunity where there's a sequel, there's a part 3 to a film, why push? Yeah, I understand. Like, always ask for that bigger check. But like, he definitely did not see how this was gonna pan out. How many films War Machine has been in? Probably 7 or 8.
Since then, yeah, he's been in a lot.
So
because the first appearance in the first movie, so you have to count that.
Part 2, 3, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame. Ironheart, was it?
No, not Ironheart. With the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Correct.
He made an appearance in that.
He did.
And he made an appearance in the Scrolls. And
Secret Invasion.
He's going to be in
Doomsday and Secret Wars.
So those are all the appearances that.
This is over the course of. I understand it has been a decade since then, but if Terrence Howard, I don't know, maybe I guess he was just really like looking for that bag at that moment. He didn't see what was gonna be, but I think it was just he could have bit his tongue a little bit. I think
that scene that he has that everybody makes fun of when they talk about Iron Man was when he looks at the War Machine
the Mark II silver
Mark II, and he's like.
Next time, baby.
There ain't no next time for that. Ain't no next time for that. You cut off. You're done. And then it's funny, like when you get into part 2, like literally seconds into it, the banter between RDJ and Don Cheadle, they're like,
"Hey, buddy. Didn't expect to see you here."
Look, it's me. I'm here. Deal with it. Let's move on.
I drop it.
That's basically just him explaining, like, yeah, Terrence Howard wanted. He's out. I'm here. Let's get on with the movie, And I think it was perfect. I think moments like that will solidify you as the character, the actor that play this this person to portray this character. You know, Terrence Howard, he was good in the first one, but I wouldn't want to change what Don Cheadle.
Yeah,
has
I wouldn't
done.
want to change it.
I wouldn't change it. So
even though I think that he would have done a good job, his version of Rhodey in that first movie in Iron Man 1 was really good. His chemistry that he had with RDJ.
It was a little bit. It was a little bit more serious. It was a little bit more serious because this was at this era of the MCU. This was before they flooded it with like jokes after jokes after jokes. So in this era, they were still kind of, the tone was a little bit serious. Even Iron Man is, every time he's on scene, has a word every 30 seconds. There was scenes in this movie where he was like quiet. He couldn't say nothing. He didn't say nothing. They weren't allowing him to say anything. You know, not because Tony Stark was going to say something or not going to say something, but RDJ as an actor, like, okay, he's the main star. He gets a certain amount of lines. You know, and this, as the MCU progressed, these lines literally progressed. In Avengers, the dude never shut up. You know, so I think it's cool that we get to see that from actors literally like embody these roles. To knock Terrence Howard, say like, oh no, it was, you know, whatever, but you know, he did good. But I'm glad we got Cheeto.
Yep,
for real.
For sure.
The Don.
The Don.
Mm.
Obadiah Stane. And the Ironmonger.
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps.
I think that he was a really good villain for the first movie because it was the perfect balance of just a villain in itself.
Yeah.
He was like an ultimate villain for Tony.
It was real world, it was earthly, it was something that made sense. You know, he was he was a complex dude. He worked with Tony's dad. You know, they kind of, I wouldn't say he built Stark Industries. No, not.
I mean, according to him, he said that in the movie, what I've done to build this company.
Right, but I don't know.
For me, what made him such a great villain for Tony was Tony saw himself in that light. He related so much to Obadiah. And obviously Obadiah wanted him out because he wanted the company in total for himself. But he also viewed the company in a certain way that Tony also agreed with. Yeah. And it was kind of like the balance of where Tony was to where Tony's going, which is why I think that balance of why he was a perfect first villain. Yeah. Because it's like, this is somebody that was a mentor to him.
He kind of groomed him to be who he is, essentially, almost.
So having that, and it's like this person that made you who you are, you're now complete opposites. This is the person that you have to go against. And I know that there's a running joke with Marvel. We'll talk about it multiple times with these movies, especially like the origin story movies. How those people always fight like a version of themselves, pretty much. Like we're gonna talk about the Hulk and Ant-Man. They fought like
basically the evil counterparts. You know, so like a Sonic and Shadow situation.
I think that in this situation, it definitely worked. He just felt very menacing. Yeah, we were talking about that while we were watching it. And the scene when he comes into the office with Pepper, when she was using the computer to find out all the menacing shit that he's been doing.
From the moment he opens that door, it's like he already knows what's going on.
The music, the vibe, everything changed.
The score of the film.
Yeah.
So, what are we gonna do about this?
That's not only with him as a villain. I think that the storytelling in general,
like you say, the perfect villain, because he was so complex where all he really wanted was, he wanted the power, he wanted the money, he wanted the fame and all this stuff. And it was like, what if Tony just never kind of like went into the cave? He could have grew up, and by the time he was at that age, he would have been Obadiah or worse. You know? So this is like your future self unchecked. Everything that happened in turn from the moment he got back from the cave, him being, you know, like around Obadiah or whatever, it almost served like, every time they were around him, you could tell like every scene, he was kind of like, their energy was off. They're almost like, he almost served like a catalyst for his growth. He needed that Obadiah mentor, trader type of situation, everything, complexity to happen in order for him to break out of that playboy philanthropist and become Iron Man. I think it was a down-to-earth, pretty good villain as well. So, and since we're in the era of the what if, they could bring back anybody and everybody. There can be a version of Warmonger that never became Warmonger. And, you know, upon getting dragged in with, you know, the whole Ironheart series, you know, his son being like kind of almost following his footsteps, but not really at the same time. You know, anything is kind of, you know, in the table now. So sort of neat if they bring him back. You know, they kind of use him like going forward with other films and stuff like that, or even just for small cameos. You know.
Yep.
Cameos, I think, in the MCU serve, you know, cameos. There's a lot of, the word cameo is very synonymous with like appearances, but I feel like for Marvel, they're special because they mean more than just like what they are. You know, they carry the story forward, you know.
Which leads right into Phil Coulson.
Phil Coulson, yeah. Damn. R.I.P. Phil Coulson, I guess, you know. He ain't coming back.
But his character being the introduction to S.H.I.E.L.D., you know, before obviously having the post-credit scene later on and actually seeing Nick Fury, but he's the one that they use to introduce S.H.I.E.L.D. He pops up multiple times in the movie.
It's like the Marvel recipe, like, you know, he's in here, this scene, that scene, a little over here, but like, where'd you come from? Who is your boss? Why are you here, you know?
Because they make jokes out of it. Like when he first comes onto the scene and he introduces himself as Agent Phil Coulson, he also says like the name of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I'm Agent Phil Coulson with the Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistics Division.
That's quite a mouthful.
I know. We're working on it.
And they made a joke out of it the whole movie saying, you need to change that. And then at the end of the movie, they say...
You'll be hearing from us.
From the Strategic Homeland Intervention.
Just call us S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
Really cool, like, setup for what to come next, you know?
Yeah, and then, you know, roll credits and you know who pops up.
Mr. Stark, you become part of a bigger universe. You just don't know it yet. Who the hell are you? Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I can't even think back at 2008. Were there even rumors that, Nick Fury is played by Sam Jack? Like, we didn't even know. Like, nobody knew.
Nobody knew. Because it wasn't something that we were used to.
Yeah.
So it's perfect that we could talk right about, like, post-credit scenes. Post-credit scenes wasn't something that we were, like, really used to back then. Because all the other superhero movies that we had, yes, a lot of them had sequels.
Yeah.
But there was no, like, end credit scene to what's leading to the next movie. I think the only one that, I don't even think it was post-credit scene, so I don't even want to say that. Because the only other movie I was going to say was Blade. Because the first movie had something at the end that hinted towards that there was going to be a part two, but that was what they were doing before. Like they were incorporating that into the movie as is, planting the seeds, like you were saying. They were planting the seeds as the movies were going on. Well, like they didn't really give us any hints as to what could be next. I'm trying to think of what movie did that. Like none of them, they all incorporated into it. So a post-credit scene, making people sit there and wait 5-10 minutes as the credits roll just to get this little snippet about what could possibly be next.
I mean, there might be Easter eggs like that Whiplash thing you caught.
Yep. So I did catch the Whiplash thing.
that shit's crazy. I'm not gonna lie. It can't be coincidence. I mean, it could, but it can't be.
Yeah. But I think that falls under like what we're saying about like the villains and stuff. Like I don't think, because that's more like a coincidence. Because I don't even think that people even like caught that. So in what we're talking about is the scene when
it can't be
Iron Man is flying through, and I'll have a video posted with this as well. Iron Man is flying, trying to get away from the fighter jets when he after blew up all the Stark tech, and one of the pilots, the central control, or whatever,
command center,
is calling him on the phone.
His code name is
no fly zone. Whiplash 2, if you have a clear shot, take it.
Which in Iron Man 2, the villain in Iron Man 2 ends up being Whiplash.
Yeah.
It's like, how did they put that together? I don't know if that was planned out or is that ironic or...
It's gonna make me
notice that, but
no. That's what I'm saying. I didn't know until you said it. Yeah. And I've never heard anyone even call that out. I don't know, maybe someone, but I don't.
Yeah, I haven't seen the video.
New to me. You know, this movie's been out over a decade, so that's
18 years.
So imagine, you know, it basically just makes you look at all the movies. Like, do they do this for every film? Did they do like little secret code names or stuff like that?
It would make us look at the movies different as we move on. Because we didn't catch that, and that was all those years ago. So, like, what do you think we're going to catch as we, like, review the movies?
Yeah.
So, something that we didn't talk about, as much as we're talking about Iron Man, we should, and that's the main thing, is his suits.
Mm.
We didn't talk about the suits at all.
Yeah, no, the suit. It's like, it's like Iron Man 1 was like golden age hip hop, like Jay-Z, Biggie. You know, there was very little to no CGI, you know, a lot of practical scenes, but it just looked so clean because it was a lot of analog. You know, the pad, the shoulders, the muscles, the thigh, everything flipped and moved and mechanicized. Everything was, the clocks were turning, lights were going on and off. The suit just moved. It felt very organic.
Yep.
You know, so where we're at now, where he just do and it's nanotech, you know what I'm
And
saying?
it's all CGI.
Obviously,
and it's
it looks beautiful, it looks amazing. We love it. Thank you, love
In
you.
action.
But like,
Yep.
you know, it sometimes you
It's
want to
some-
see that nitty gritty, cling cling, that iron clicking. You know.
Yeah, because it's something about when you're watching the movie and when he's standing there and you can see like when it just looks weird with the CGI because it's like his neck up
It's
is
just
real,
it's
but
just the neck shot.
down it's just weird.
Sometimes it gets unproportional. His head will be like, I am Iron Man, cling, and his head is over here, shoulder over here. Yeah.
So having that practical suit, I think, added a little bit more of that a grounded feel.
Yes,
What we were talking about
yes.
when we were watching it.
Ground, yes.
How it feels more realistic. It
Yep.
feels like something. Obviously, it's fake. Obviously, it can't be an Iron Man, but it felt like something that could actually be done.
There's
the way
definitely
that-
some real Tony Starks out there for sure.
We talk about what's his name that owns Amazon.
Oh no, he's definitely not on Tony Stark.
He could be. He has the money to be. He's a
He
villain.
got the money for it.
Between him and Elon.
That's Ironmonger and Iron Man right there. Just gotta figure it out who's who.
The practicalness
Yes.
of the suits. I think that's
They're not jumping from planet to planet, this parallel universe to that universe. He's going from Melrose Ave to Santa Monica, you know, just flying around with the. We were talking about the repulsion beast, how it has evolved with. I guess it really just determines how the director wants the route of the actual film to go. Because, you know, every repulsor beam that Iron Man uses, it kind of feels like it almost is physical more than it is like, what's the word? I guess laser type. You know, it almost feels like a hit, like a punch more than like you're getting heat or like some sort of blast, external energy force hitting you, you know. So when it comes to the suits and like practicality and all that stuff, I think Iron Man is like one of those classic films. They probably went with Iron Man because if you think about it, you look at the Avengers lineup, he's probably the easiest one to make a movie out of. You know,
between him and Captain America.
Right. That's why those movies are goated. You know, like some flaws, but really overall. Really good movies. You know, these are the pillars of the whole MCU right now. So,
and speaking of like the pillars of the MCU, I think that something that they did really well with the MCU in the early days, and you definitely felt it in this movie, is the stakes. I think that where the MCU starts to take a turn, and we'll definitely touch on that once we get there. This movie, you did not know. I mean, obviously we knew he was going to win because it's Iron Man, right? You know, that's the name of the movie.
It's a comic
obviously.
book movie, you know.
But you had this somewhat. They did it well enough in a way where you don't know that he's actually going to win.
Yeah.
They made it feel like there's a chance that he actually might lose. And I think that in the later movies, they've lost that element, especially with the announcing stuff so soon. Like when they announced like the Thunderbolts was coming out, but they announced everybody that's going to be in Doomsday, and it's like, all right, so they're not going to die.
Yeah. I see what you mean. They're not going to die. So whatever happens, they're going to be all right. Yeah.
They say that they're going to fight Sentry, but they're in the
Sentry, the Void. You mean like the one that just evaporates people? All right, yeah, sure, makes sense. But the whole lineup is there.
Yeah.
You know, and you see the leaked images of everyone in their little profile pic, cast reveal, like whatever. No, I see what you mean. Yeah,
that wasn't something that we had to worry about before.
Yeah,
you know?
no.
So it made you feel. It gave you a different feeling, like they might actually ultimately lose this battle.
Could we fully blame them though? Can we got to take some of the blame ourselves, you know, as a fan base, as a community, and then, you know, social media, the internet grows with literally every day the internet grows. The way we get information now, we was not getting, there's a new trailer. You probably found out about a new trailer a week after it came out back at during those times. Unless it was like blasted on the airways, commercials, TVs and stuff like that, you know. At the time when the MCU was prematurely being made, we were freshmen in high school. You know, yeah, we're the Google kids, but like at the same time, we weren't looking at like, yo, the MCU is being built. This thing happened like that. You know, if you weren't paying attention, you know, it sucks. But like the little pieces to see how it was a organic like collection of ideas, and they came perfectly. The Infinity Saga, you know, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor. To see it assemble was, you know, it was great. It was great. And then trying to see them redo it again, that's gonna be tough. It's a lot of controversy, you know. They're doing these little teaser things where you gotta go watch Avatar to see
I watched Avatar
30 seconds of
5 times.
Steve Rogers holding a kid. I bet. What's going on here? Like such and such. The whole Phase 6 failed. Bring back the main, you know, the main guys. Yeah. So like, yes, we love it, but at the same time, damn, like why did it have to get to this point? It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
That's what I was gonna say.
It's gonna be fun to see what's next. Yeah. You know, coming out.
I'm bad with outros and intros.
Bad with intros, bad with outros. At least everything in the middle was superb.
But yes, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and we're gonna try to do this every week. And so peace until next time.